Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. You know the story, right? When we think about World War II in Europe, we usually picture a pretty clear conflict. Nazi Germany on one side, the Soviet Union on the other. They're seen as total opposites, mortal enemies. We even learn about their crimes separately. The Holocaust is one story, and the Gulag is another. Two distinct histories of evil. But here's a question that changes everything. What if the real heart of the darkness wasn't in Berlin or in Moscow? What if it was in the land stuck right in between them? What happens when you stop seeing two separate stories and start seeing one single overlapping zone of pure destruction? To answer that, we have to go to a very specific place. A region that historian Timothy Snyder gave a name to. A name that pretty much says it all. Take a good look at this map. This is the heart of the matter. The story's center isn't Germany or Russia, it's this territory right here. Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, the Baltic states. For the people living here, Hitler and Stalin weren't just distant dictators. They were their rulers, one after the other, and sometimes even at the same time. So what really defines the Bloodlands isn't a border or a single culture. It's a shared experience of almost unimaginable violence. Between 1933 and 1945, 14 million civilians died here. And that's the crucial part. They're non-combatants. They weren't killed deep inside Germany or deep inside Russia. They were killed right here, in the lands caught in the middle, by the policies of both of these regimes. So how did this happen? I mean, what made this one region so uniquely lethal? The answer is just devastating. The people here were subjected to not just one, but two totalitarian systems, one after the other. This timeline shows you the relentless waves of terror. It all kicks off in 1939. Hitler and Stalin, and yeah, they were allies then, they invade and carve up Poland together, splitting the bloodlines between them. Then, in 1941, that alliance just shatters. Germany invades the Soviet Union, rolling over the exact same land. And finally, starting in 44, the Soviet Red Army pushes back, taking all those lands again. Every single time power changed hands, it brought a new, methodical campaign of murder. And here is a point that you just have to understand. The Nazis and the Soviets were not killing for the same reasons. Their ideologies were completely different. Hitler wanted racial colonization, to wipe out Jews and others he called subhumans. Stalin wanted political transformation. He used class purges, mass deportations, even man-made famines. So their ultimate goals were opposed, but their methods of terror ended up converging on the exact same people in the exact same places. And this leads to a really chilling realization. The death of 14 million people wasn't just the result of battlefield chaos or some spontaneous wave of hatred. No, it was the product of cold, deliberate state policy. This is the central idea, this powerful metaphor. Think of two immense, terrible grinding machines. First one rolls over a field, destroying everything. Then the other one rolls back over that same field. The destruction is methodical, it's impersonal, and it is shockingly efficient. It helps you understand how giant state institutions like the SS and the Soviet NKVD turned mass murder into just another administrative task. And if you think that sounds like an exaggeration, just listen to this. This is a direct quote from an instruction manual for the NKVD, the Soviet secret police. After the executions, the bodies are to be laid in a pit dug beforehand, then carefully buried, and the pit is to be camouflaged. I mean, listen to that language. Carefully buried. Camouflaged. That isn't the language of passion or hatred. It's the language of a project manager. It's about process. It's murder as paperwork. And the scale of this it's just staggering. Let's take just one number. 3.1 million. That's how many Soviet prisoners of war the Germans systematically murdered, mostly just by starving them to death. This wasn't a byproduct of the war. It was a core policy of extermination, and it was carried out in the Bloodlands. You know, numbers that big can be hard to wrap your head around, so let's make it personal. Let's talk about one family, the Vanuk brothers. In the spring of 1940, Germany and the Soviet Union are still allies, and both of them are busy eliminating Poland's leaders. In April, Jakub Vanuk is executed by the Soviet secret police. Just 2 months later, his brother, Boleslav, is executed by the Germans. One family, destroyed by two regimes, acting in terrifying parallel. So why does it matter so much to reframe history this way? Well, because it totally shatters our neat little categories of good and evil, victim and perpetrator. It forces us to look at a reality that is so much more complex and so much more terrible. This entire way of looking at things comes from Timothy Snyder's landmark book, Bloodlands. His work really forces you to see that the deadliest place in the world at that time wasn't Auschwitz by itself, or the Gulag by itself. It was the land where the murderous plans of both of those regimes overlapped and interacted. At the end of the day, remembering the Bloodlands is an act of historical justice. It means we have to stop counting the victims of Nazism and the victims of Stalinism in two separate columns, like in some awful ledger. Instead, we have to see them as they really were, as individuals, as families like the Wonks, as whole nations caught in the crossfire of two apocalyptic visions. It rehumanizes them by putting them at the center of a single epic tragedy. For the full, long-form, deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy these explainers, please subscribe and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.